Hey, what's up guys? It's Arcana WoW coming back at you with another video. This is going to be the first voiceover of pretty much the series. I'm going to be going over how to do Halls of Valor 18. So if you want to get down with it, please like, follow, subscribe, and we'll get ahead with the video. So when you go ahead here, we're going to be looking at how to run through the first big pack pull. This pull is notorious for wiping your group and making everybody rage quit in a pug, and basically making everybody hate each other and pointing fingers for why nobody can get things right. So off the bat, I got my rune weapon going, running some cooldowns, popped IBF just in case I got one shot because nobody kicked. And then somehow I managed to throw a death and decay all the way up on some places that didn't matter. But I digress. So you're going to keep revolving your cooldowns. We just have really high damage here. We have Power Infusion, Demon Hunter. Like, it's just amazing damage. This pack dies so quickly that we ended up just one-shotting it, like how it's supposed to. The only time that pack gets super nasty is when nobody kicks, or you just get it randomly like one tapped, or the group doesn't get together in a nice fashion, or the DPS just starts dying from ridiculous stuff like getting cleaved. They'll just stand in front of you from some odd reason and take the dragon's breath and then die and then blame you, and then the group disbands. I digress. So we get to the first boss here. You're gonna have only one real mechanic. It's called don't get hit by the dragon and move him back to the center. Whenever there's a dragon, it won't hit the same platform twice. So just stand in the middle, make sure you move, and the group will move with you. The thing about being in a tank here is that the group pretty much relies on you to move. So if you move any second later than you should, your group will die. Because for some reason, instead of looking for the dragon themselves, they pretty much play off of you. So as you can see, I'm kind of panning back and forth. I really don't care. The boss won't kill me. I'm running straight for the other side because I was a little late on that one. And then basically you're going to tank him a little bit here and then run back to the middle. This boss is fairly easy, and he doesn't really have any mechanics that stagger each other to make you wipe, such as like the Zero Fault where you're doing way more and he does an infuse strike and then he does his little sprout thing and you just pretty much die because you can't be topped off. Here it's about just keeping your group aware and alive. You don't really care if the boss gets you down to 15% because you're not following a really solid rotation, even on higher keys. So this is a good example. So the Drake goes down to the left, you start kiting him, walk right into that, who cares? It's a little bit of damage, and then the other drag goes down the right end, and then one more will go down the middle, and it'll never hit this platform again. So the group really doesn't have to do anything, and you can just stand put. I really should do a better job at trying to avoid those, but I'd rather just hold the boss in one place than to try and dodge some orbs, because I can just death strike myself back to full almost instantly. And then we're gonna down him fairly easily. So right here we end up downing him. I just kind of let the audio run through on that. The Sentinel is patrolling to the right pack. Usually you wouldn't individually pull this mob because it is a ginormous waste of time. But since we had the pat going and the cooldowns needed to be reset anyway, you might as well just clear it if you have it padding instead of it standing there and adding it to that big pull. Because originally what you're going to do is the next three mobs on the right, you're going to want to group them up and basically pull them together. So as this slowly dies, we'll move into the next pack. So this pack, usually you can do a 3 pull on Fortified week. It is extremely inefficient to do it on Tyrannical week. So what you want to do is just kite it up the stairs. Since we have such high damage, it's kind of worth it to pull it with the other group. I mean, it always is, but Fortified, if you wipe on this again, you're pretty much not going to time the key. But since we have really good group synergy, You can see the stuns going out. We kind of overlap 3 there, which is not good at all because that big heal came out from that. The only thing you really want to kick is Etch and the heal. Everything else you can mitigate it. You know, there's the frontals with the tank busters, the power attacks, and the mortal heal. They're not too important from the melee classes. They do hit really hard when you get the bolster, but you can always use Blood Tap or basically Lichborn like how I did there to try and mitigate some of the damage. And what you want to do is just keep kiting the ads backwards so that they don't frontal your DPS and accidentally kill somebody. If somebody does die, it's not like the end of the world. You already cleared the pad at the bottom. It just adds a little more percent for you towards the end, so you don't need to clear as much trash. So here we go into the next portion of the pulls. The Sentinels on the right, this is usually a pull you wouldn't necessarily do at the beginning. So we pull the 3 together, start kiting it backwards. As you can tell, I don't really have much bone shield rolling at this time, so I'm taking quite a bit of damage. However, my healer's able to keep me up. We kill 1, and then I'll start kiting them towards the other side. Even though the Sentinel is coming, our damage is extremely high. I'm not too concerned about it. If you see, I'll pull it back, even though we could have probably took the Sentinel with the next pack. I'm going to let him pass and pull the pack to the right. So I'm just killing time until the pack basically resets itself with the Sentinel. I want him to path to the right because we're going to attempt doing the left side boss second so you can get the most value out of heroism. If you do decide to go and do wolf boss first, you might not have the same value out of your heroisms and lust depending if you wipe. The problem with wiping is now you're going to have to decide what trash bags to pick up to try and kill some time, to take more time off the clock in order to get your lust to reset, because these bosses on Tyrannical Week have so much HP and they do so much more damage. Alrighty, so that pat, just keep letting it go. You don't want to pull it. It's a waste of time to pull it by itself, just like how I did the first one. And now we're moving to another 3-pack pull. So what I originally wanted to do was pull this 3-pack into the 2-pack here, but it got a little bit messy. We kind of let things get out of hand, not really kicking properly, but you know, we made it work. Nobody died here, fortunately. So yeah, I do. So I pull those 2. It would be extremely inefficient to just pull those 2 on their own. What I want to do is let them die a little bit with the bolsters, so at least I can survive some of these hits. When they're charging the powered attack, you can kind of range it. If you're just slowly inching back when it's cast, even with the breach armor, that one I got hit by. But you can dodge it. It's not too bad and it won't hit you too hard, but if there's like 3 or 4 bolstered on one, you'll probably die unless you have some mitigation. So we're going ahead and we're gonna pull the other 2 3-packs. I'm gonna go ahead and let this play out, kind of fast forward to the boss fight. Even though the Shadow Priest dies to something hilarious where he doesn't realize he needs to stand in the bubble, but I digress. We'll skip ahead to the next part.
4, 3, 2, 1.
The fury of the storm is yours to command!
Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and pull the boss after we rezzed and rebuffed everyone. I like to pull the boss to the left just because the simple fact that the boss likes to do crazy amounts of damage. So I coordinated with the group that I'll use AMZ first, and then the Demon Hunter will use Darkness second. So when you get to the next part of the fight where the boss uses Shield of Light, this is a tank buster mechanic. It will kill you. You need to use some sort of defensive. If you try to face tank it, it still might kill you. I think later on in the fight, I actually ended up face tanking one of them, and a Purgatory activated. So there's that. I'm not too sure if around this part we lose our healer or we lose a DPS to Sanctify. I'm sure the fight didn't go as clean as I think it was, if I can remember. So what you're going to do is you're going to try and basically pull her back as far as possible every single time. There it is. That's where I messed up. I should have probably used IBF. I didn't have anything left. I'm just happy I have Purg. I can pretty much do my cheat death mechanic every 5 minutes. I don't think I would need it after this boss. That was probably worth spending there. So we have Darkness right there. Demon Hunter laid it down. So now I'm going to use AMS again, tank the buster, and I'll be fine. Basically stabilize, and then Sanctify one more time. I think this is where we lose somebody, but I'm not too sure.
4, 3,
It's looking pretty good.
1.
You don't even want to do DPS on this phase for melee. It's not worth dying over. If they're right there, I used IBF. I think you should use IBF if you need it at a last resort. It's probably the last cooldown you want to run through. Unless you're running improved IBF, which pretty much everybody does anyway. Vamp is probably better to use because of the on-minute cooldown that it shares with Fallen Crusader. But it's pretty much up to you entirely. So we're going to sneak past the Pat here. I think that's huge because we don't want to waste any more time doing a single pull on him right now. You just want to get to the next boss before you run out of hero timer. Once again, Halls of Valor is just a complete pain in the butt when it comes to making time. This is the kind of rough trash pack. It's hard to prioritize what to stop, even with penetrating shot and everything. I'm just lucky I'm playing Death Knight. We have 2 grips, slappy hands, blinding sleep. We pretty much have everything else to stop all these mitigating factors when it comes to hard CC. And it's good that the group kind of waited because the drag landed and nobody got clapped by that. Sometimes people like to go in, pull the deer, get clapped, end up wiping the group on something totally unnecessary. The wolf boss is probably the most self-explanatory boss. However, somehow every group manages to wipe on it, but we did a pretty good job. If we can just give ourselves a pat on the back for that one. I'm gonna go ahead and cover the boss. Basically, you need to get him down to 60%. He has very simple mechanics at this point, at the first part of the fight. You spread or you stack, pretty much. So whenever he does the Ravenous Leap, you spread. And then whenever he does Cough Frenzy, you stack. It's pretty simple. But somehow people manage to die or not follow the mechanic. And he does not spawn any Pathfinders during this phase, so you won't have any ads to deal with. You just want to burn him down to 60% and then get to the additional trash packs that you need to get to.
Four, three, two, one.
So as you see here, we already down up to 60. We're crossing the bridge into these small ward packs. These do stacking damage. Some groups are very ambitious or very coordinated. They like to pull all 5 at once. I don't think I'm ever going to do that again, especially on a pug group. So we kill these 2, we get the bolsters down, and then we pull the other 3. Yeah, it's a little inefficient, but it's better than wiping. There's no point in trying to pull a 5, wiping your group and not having a graveyard and running back from the start. Whenever you're doing Halls of Valor, just remember the run back will kill your key. It will be such a terrible run back, and your group will pretty much quit itself or break the key on their own because they don't want to deal with the run back. So we down these, and we get to the boss, and it's pretty much a rinse and repeat. The only thing is, if you're playing mages or shadow priests, you want to use your dispersion when he uses Scent of Blood, because it would keep him in the same place. If I think the shadow priest did it here, you kind of want to do it just because it adds a little more maximization to the group's DPS versus the chasing him all the way out and everybody's running around and then possibly he spawns the ads. This is a good example. So the demon hunter really doesn't have any kind of hard immunity, so he's just kiting it out. Look how far the boss gets. We're gonna try to have to pull it back without getting clapped by some sort of ridiculous RNG leap or not too bad. He basically spawns some ads, it's doable. And here's the lead where we need to spread. Thank goodness the group has really good awareness, and it's a really solid group. The thing about it is, I'm just waiting for the next Scent of Blood. So there's the dispersion. You see how it just keeps him in the one spot so we can just tee off and nice and relaxed. The healer doesn't need to worry about it. That's how you do it.
look forward to meeting you within the Hall of Glory.
So right here, we're on the way back. This is like the notorious path to aggro all of these bulls. So I get through, and in my group, as you watch, you always want to pan the camera back if you're tanking. Immediately aggros. So you're going to pull one. You might as well grab the second and the third. Just grip them together and just tee off. These are extra percent because you just might as well take it. You already aggroed one. You don't want to be wasting time and being efficient. I think they pulled a deer on top of it. I mean, why not? We already started this hiatus. I wouldn't think of it as a loss. A good tip is to make sure you maximize the amount of percent you can get in HOV or other certain dungeons such as like Azure Vault. Not like Shadowmoon Burial Grounds or Temple of Jade Serpent. Those are pretty fixed percent. This is gonna help ensure we get the percent without having to pull an additional crazy pack. I mean, this isn't a very optimal triple pull with the extra deer, but I digress. It's what you got. Wanted to come back to the beginning. So we have one sentinel right here. It's the original Pat, but since we had the additional bodies, I'm gonna go ahead and pull the double straight into the side here. You really just want to cut the corner. You can pull both of these without aggroing the middle group. The middle group is just really inefficient to pull with Cleansing Flame. If somebody doesn't kick it, it just turns into a nightmare. I think we might accidentally pull it if I can remember correctly. But if all you can do is avoid it, avoid it. It's just a waste of time. It's a messy pull. You can always pull the adds to the left or to the right. You're going to need exactly 84%. If you get a little bit more, it's okay. But you want to do these two adds after both bosses are down so you get the little speed bonus and you can clear all your trash with the little run speed. Makes it a lot easier, especially for the sentinels. So I'm just going to skip the pack. Pull the left group is going to be a 5-pack pull, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe I didn't grab that other rune carver. So basically the healer goes down really quickly. I was trying to get a Brez. I think it's worth it to burn a Brez here because we don't want to wipe. It was very imperative of us to get him up for this pull. If we wipe here, we lose about 15 to 20 seconds in run back, plus the pull, and then all the timer. So sometimes it's good to burn a battle res on trash. I honestly have no idea how he died there. It probably was just like an unlucky frontal or thunderbolt that went off. So we're clearing this. We're 1% short at this point, so you're just gonna pull the big guy. It's probably the most efficient thing to pull out of all. I probably should have waited for the bolster to basically fall off so you didn't get the percentage of health. That was my fault. But I mean, you're gonna get what you need. You just need that 1%. You don't want to pull a whole another pack that you could possibly wipe on, or something ridiculous that might take a long time. This guy's pretty derpy, so you just burn him down. What you want to do after this is you're gonna go to the final boss room and you're gonna grab the beers. You're gonna do the beer trick. If you don't know the beer trick, you're not gonna ever do HOV on time on higher keys. I think it's a super efficient way of pulling the last room. So we kind of coordinate to get the beers. I think we did mess up a little bit when we get to that room. So here we are running into the room, right? I'm gonna toss my beer to engage that one, but for some reason it didn't go off. So it is what it is. We're basically gonna pull these two together. Once the animation of one stops fighting the other, you'll be able to talk to them. Unfortunately, the beer trick doesn't give you percentage, but it does allow you to pull two together. Our damage is pretty high, so you know it's pretty fortunate that we have such a good group for 18 in a pug. So he goes down, you pull the next one. Don't ever use slappy hands with fallen ancestor, that was probably my fault. So there's the second one. So this is where the beer trick really helps. You're always gonna have two at once, so you don't need to worry about solo killing. It saves you a lot of time. Once you get both, just keep continuously kiting unless you have some hard CC like mass entanglement or something for the ads. The shaman threw a stun totem but it missed. Threw another cap totem, actually got him that time. And then you can get the fourth one. So now when you down two, you go to Skull Vault. Skull Vault's really self-explanatory. They have some 2013 mechanics where you just need a quick Ragnarok and that's it, and pick up the Aegis. So I'm not gonna go over that at all.
Four, three, two, one.
If these false champions will not yield the Aegis by choice, then they will surrender it in death! Give up the Aegis or die! Most impressive. I never thought I would meet anyone who could match the Valor's strength. And yet here you stand. There is one final trial that awaits. Me. Should you triumph, I will carve your names in these sacred halls myself and grant you a reward worthy of your valor. Have you brought valor to these halls? Such I taste a worthy opponent. Let the battle begin! Fight for me, Valor! Fight for glory! Yield now, or I will call upon my true power! Fragile mind is as deadly as the sharpest blade.
The elements answer to me!
Mighty Valor, heed my summons! Yield now, or I will call upon my true power! Enough! I yield. You are truly remarkable creatures. As promised, you will have your just reward.